When I was 22, I moved into my first apartment with two friends from work. It was an old duplex split into two units, and we had the bottom floor. The place wasn't great, but the rent was cheap, and it had a finished basement we could use for storage and laundry. The basement stairs were right off the kitchen. You opened a narrow door and the steps went straight down. At the bottom, it opened into one big room, washer and dryer on the left wall, a small window near the ceiling, and the rest was just empty concrete floor with some old shelves. The light was a single bulb hanging from the middle of the ceiling. None of us liked going down there alone at night, but we all acted like it didn't bother us. One night, around 1 a.m., I realized I'd left my work uniform in the washer. I needed it for the morning. My roommates were asleep, so I figured I'd just grab it quick. I turned on the kitchen light, opened the basement door, and flipped the switch. The bulb flickered on downstairs. Halfway down the stairs, I thought I heard something move, like a shoe scraping the floor. I stopped and listened. Nothing. I told myself it was just the house settling. When I reached the bottom, I noticed the dryer door was open. I was pretty sure I had closed it earlier. I shrugged it off and moved my clothes over. While the dryer was running, I leaned against the wall, scrolling on my phone. Then I heard a soft thump from the far corner of the basement, near the shelves. It sounded like someone bumping into a box. I slowly looked up. That corner was darker than the rest of the room. The light didn't reach it well. I stared for a few seconds, expecting one of my roommates to come down messing with me. No one did. Then I heard breathing. Not loud, just slow and steady, like someone trying to stay quiet. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my clothes out of the dryer without even waiting and rushed for the stairs. As I stepped onto the first stair, I heard quick footsteps behind me, like someone moving across the concrete. I didn't look back. I just ran up and slammed the door. The next morning, I told my roommates. They said I was being paranoid, but later that day, we found muddy shoe prints in the basement dust that didn't belong to any of us, leading from the small window to the stairs. A few years ago, I stayed over at my cousin's house after a family party. He had this big, two-story place with an unfinished basement he used like a game room. Couch, old TV, mini fridge, stuff like that. He told me I could crash down there since it was quieter. The layout was simple. Stairs went down into the middle of the room, couch against the right wall, TV and console across from it. Behind the stairs was a storage area with boxes and an old furnace. He went upstairs around midnight. I stayed down playing games until maybe 2. When I finally turned everything off, the basement got really dark. The only light was the tiny green dot from the TV. I laid down on the couch and passed out fast. At some point, I woke up needing to use the bathroom. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. As I stood up, I noticed the basement door at the top of the stairs was open. I clearly remembered him shutting it. I figured maybe he came down to grab something. I started up the stairs but stopped when I heard a quiet clink, like metal hitting metal. It came from the storage area behind the stairs. I thought maybe pipes or the furnace. Then it happened again. Clink, like someone moving tools around. I whispered my cousin's name. No answer. I took 2 steps toward the sound, and my foot hit something on the floor. I looked down and saw one of the storage boxes had been dragged out into the open. I didn't remember it being there earlier. Right then, I heard a slow shuffle from behind the stacked boxes, like someone adjusting their weight. I froze. I didn't say anything else. I just backed up toward the stairs, trying not to make noise. Halfway up, I heard quick footsteps rush toward where I had been standing. I bolted up the rest and slammed the door. We checked in the morning. The small basement window by the ceiling had been pried open. The lock was bent. In college, I rented a small house with 4 other guys. My room was upstairs, but the only bathroom with a working shower was in the basement, so every morning I had to go down there. The basement was narrow and long. Stairs led down into a hallway, with the bathroom at the end, and a storage room on the right. The lights were those harsh white fluorescent ones that buzzed constantly. One morning around 6, I went down half asleep to shower. When I turned the hallway light on, it flickered for a second before staying on. I showered like normal. No music, just the fan running. About 10 minutes in, I thought I heard the bathroom door creak open a little. I figured one of my roommates needed something. I called out, "Give me a minute." No reply. When I finished and opened the curtain, the door was still closed. I laughed at myself for imagining it. I got dressed and opened the door. Right outside, on the hallway floor, was a single wet footprint, barefoot, not mine. It faced toward the stairs. I checked my feet, dry. I looked down the hallway and noticed the storage room door, which we always kept shut, was slightly open. Just a crack. I pushed it open slowly. Inside was dark, but I could make out that some boxes had been moved around, like someone had been standing in there, watching the bathroom. I ran upstairs and woke everyone up. Later we realized the small side door to the basement that we never used hadn't been fully locked. My first job after school was night security at a warehouse. The office area had a basement where they kept old files and equipment. Part of my rounds was checking it every couple hours. The stairs were metal and loud. At the bottom was a long rectangular room with shelves and a desk. Only one light switch near the stairs. Most nights it was boring. One shift around 2 a.m., I went down like usual. Flipped the light, did my walk. Everything looked normal, but when I came back up I realized I'd left my clipboard downstairs. I sighed and went back. When I hit the switch, the light didn't come on. I thought the bulb burned out, so I used my phone flashlight and went down anyway. As I reached the bottom, I saw the light was actually already on, just very dim, like someone had unscrewed it slightly. I felt uneasy but walked in. My clipboard wasn't where I left it on the desk. It was on the floor near the far shelves. I definitely hadn't put it there. While picking it up, I heard something behind me. Breathing. Close. I spun around with the flashlight. For half a second, the beam caught the shape of someone stepping between the shelves. I yelled and chased toward the stairs. I heard running behind me, but in the opposite direction, toward the back exit. By the time I got outside, the door was swinging open. We checked cameras later. The basement camera had been unplugged that night only. Last year, I stayed at my girlfriend's parents' place while they were on vacation. It was just us in the house. They had this old, finished basement with a spare bedroom where we slept. The stairs were right next to the front door. At the bottom, there was a small hallway. Bedroom on the left, laundry room on the right, and a bigger living area straight ahead. We locked every door before bed. Around 4 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like someone walking upstairs. Slow, heavy steps. I thought maybe I imagined it, but then I heard a chair scrape across the kitchen floor. I nudged my girlfriend. She was still asleep. I grabbed my phone and checked the camera app for the doorbell cam. No motion alerts. The steps continued, back and forth, like someone pacing. I whispered her name and we both listened. Then we heard the basement stairs creak, one step at a time, coming down. We both froze. The hallway light switch was at the top of the stairs, so it was completely dark down there. We heard the last step, then nothing. No more movement, just silence. After a full minute, I slowly cracked the bedroom door open. The hallway was empty, but the laundry room door, which we always kept shut, was open. Inside, one of the small windows near the ceiling was wide open, cold air pouring in, and muddy footprints on the tile floor leading toward the stairs, but none leading back out. We didn't stay another night there. I still don't know where that person went.